You are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. It's estimated that nearly 3,000 ethnic Armenians have now fled the enclave of Nagorno Karabakh in the South Caucasus. The disputed region is recognised internationally as part of Azerbaijan, but has been controlled by ethnic Armenians for 3 decades. Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan says that the ethnic cleansing of the region's 120,000 Armenians is now underway. Azerbaijan denies that claim.
About 3,000 ethnic Armenians have so far left Nagorno Karabakh after the armed takeover by Azerbaijan last week. A statement from the Armenian government that was released on Monday morning revealed that over 2,900 refugees from the enclave in the South Caucasus region have entered Armenia. Nagorno Karabakh enclave is located in the South Caucasus, which is crisscrossed by gas pipelines, and it serves as a focal point for conflicts between Turkey, Russia, Iran, and the United States. Observers expect almost all of Karabakh's 120,000 ethnic Armenians to leave the region. Though Nagorno Karabakh is acknowledged by the international community to be a part of Azerbaijan, since the fall of the Soviet Union, it has been ruled by ethnic Armenians. Azerbaijan intends to reintegrate the Armenians who are now living within its borders as equal citizens. On the other hand, Armenia has expressed concern over potential violations of human rights and ethnic cleansing, pointing out that Azerbaijan has rejected international control of the reintegration process and hasn't given specifics on how it will be carried out. In 2016, Pope Francis travelled to Armenia. The Vatican's Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, visited the area earlier this year to speak with representatives from Armenia and Azerbaijan about the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh. The government of Armenia has pledged to take in all enclave refugees, saying it will lovingly welcome our brothers and sisters. International Desk, SW News.
A pro-life leader in the United States has condemned the blatant politicization of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice on the issue of abortion. Life Issues Institute President Bradley Mattis was responding to the conviction of 3 pro-lifers who protested at and blocked access to a Washington, D.C. abortion clinic in October 2020. Each defendant is now facing up to 11 years in prison under the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. Mr. Mattis noted that, by contrast, pro-abortion activists are hardly ever prosecuted. Pope Francis says the scourge of child sexual abuse must be addressed by society at large. The Holy Father made his comments in an address to a delegation from the Latin American Research and Training Commission for the Protection of Minors, which is a Catholic body that trains priests and religious. The Pope told them that the abuses that have afflicted the Church are but a pale reflection of a sad reality that involves all of humanity and to which the necessary attention needs to be paid. He referred to the 16th century Spanish child martyr, St. Christopher de la Guardia, comparing his suffering and the suffering of all abused children to that of the suffering Christ. The president of the Italian Bishops' Conference is calling for the world to find ways to peace through humanity and intelligence. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, who's the Archbishop of Bologna, made his plea at the beginning of the Permanent Episcopal Council of the Bishops' Conference autumn session. He spoke about conflict in the world, migrants and refugees, and the Church's role in Ukraine, where he acts as the Pope's special peace envoy. Cardinal Zuppi said it was important to show solidarity with Ukrainians in the face of their present crisis and thanked many families who have housed children from the war-torn country. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has presented Metropolitan Archbishop Boris Gudziak of the Ukrainian Catholic Eparchy of Philadelphia with a presidential award. It's been granted due to Archbishop Gudziak's unwavering support to the Ukrainian side during the war with Russia. North Carolina has become the 10th state in the US to adopt a policy of universal school choice by lifting all restrictions on a state program that offers financial aid to students who attend private schools, including Catholic schools. The state's new budget will quadruple financing for the Opportunity Scholarship Programme and remove income requirements for receiving a private school voucher. The budget received final approval from the North Carolina General Assembly on the 22nd of September. That means that every family in North Carolina will now be eligible to apply for financial aid to attend any grade in any private school starting the next school year 2024-25. A new human rights report is levelling fresh charges of war crimes against Russian forces in Ukraine. Members of the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Ukraine testified before the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva that they had evidence of torture, sexual assault, gender-based violence by Russian forces. They also chronicle attacks with explosive weapons on residential buildings, infrastructure and medical facilities. The Commission's findings in Kherson and Zaporizhzhia also claim to reveal widespread and systematic use of torture by Russian armed forces against individuals suspected of being Ukrainian military informants. The bishops of Australia are asking voters to recognise the concerns of Indigenous peoples. Australians go to the polls next month to vote on whether to alter the country's constitution by establishing a body called the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice. That body would give advice to the Australian Parliament and Government on matters that affect the lives of Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islander people. In their statement, the bishops say the issues surrounding the proposed constitutional change are not just political, but also moral and ethical. A group of United Nations human rights experts have said that the Palestinian Authority must strengthen fundamental legal safeguards against torture and ill treatment, especially from the first moments of detention. The members of the UN Subcommittee on the Prevention of Torture issued the appeal after concluding their visit to Palestine. The delegation visited prisons, police stations, facilities of the security forces, a psychiatric hospital and a military detention centre. The delegation received full cooperation from the Palestinian Authority to visit locations in the West Bank, but they were unable to visit detention facilities in Gaza. Meanwhile, a United Nations human rights expert is warning of increasing attacks on civil society and democracy in Venezuela via government policies aimed at silencing criticism of the country's administration. The chair of the UN-appointed Independent International Fact-Finding Mission on Venezuela, Marta Velinas, is warning that such repressive measures are likely to increase in the run-up to the presidential elections in Venezuela next year. She says that such repressive tactics by the Venezuelan government have given rise to a predominant environment of fear, mistrust and self-censorship. Finally, a new survey suggests that most Americans don't place a high priority on marriage and children compared with their careers and friends. Also suggests that a large minority of Americans are pessimistic about the future of marriage and the family. The Pew Research Center survey took place over the month of April. It interviewed 5,000 US adults. Only 26% of respondents said that having children is extremely or very important to living a fulfilling life, and only 23% said the same about marriage. Meanwhile, 40% of those surveyed said they are pessimistic about the future of the institution of marriage and the family, compared to 26% who said they were optimistic. Well, that's your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.